Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Riding Horses. We're out here today on Flow. This is ride number 2 for this mare, and I'm going about it a little different. Yesterday I was out here by myself. Had a really good day yesterday. Rode her around, loped her around some. She did really good for as much pressure as I had to put on her by myself. But since my boys are here with me today, I thought I'd let Colt help me a little bit, just so we can kind of free this mare up, but not just free her up, but also kind of get her used to him as a rider. I've worked this mare a bunch off of another horse. I ponied her a lot. I worked her off that mare right there so she could get used to a rider up here at this level. And I'm gonna get Colt moving around here in just a second, kind of helping free her up and squeezing in on her and making a little bit of noise with his stick and his string. We'll get that flag out here in just a second, but I want you guys to kind of see how you can benefit if you've got somebody helping you on these young horses, getting them freed up. Because I'll show you here what it looked like for me to get this mare to elope by myself. So I'm going to have to put enough pressure on her. I need to leave her head alone and basically just let her kind of pick the direction. Being in the round pen, they tend to not change directions that much. They can just kind of flow around here unless something gets in front of that drive line and blocks them. So once I get her moving, she's along the fence, she'll pretty much just go forward, but I need to not be pulling on that lead rope. So she's got the freedom to keep moving, and then whatever I got to do to bring some life up. Well, she's kind of used to my smooch a little bit, but my smooch isn't enough to get her to the lope all the time. So I'm going to have to use the end of my lead rope here and kind of make some rhythm back here on her butt. She's not really familiar yet with my legs. Again, this is ride number 2, so I haven't used my legs a whole lot, but I'm going to go ahead and smooch her up to a trot. And I'm going to try to smooch her up to a lope. Okay, she loped right off from the smooch, which was pretty good. There's my left lead, a little bit easier. Kind of cool that she's squeezing in here close to Colt and Miss Purina. I don't like to hold on to them, and you can see while this mare's going around, to me, when you're starting one colt, putting the first ride or two on one and you're pretty much just being a passenger, you're not doing a whole lot. To me, that's a whole lot harder than if you were actually sitting up here steering. Okay, so sometimes me just being a passenger, I'm better off to just have a hold of the saddle horn and leave her head alone. But you can see places where this mare's head comes up and her emotions come out. So there's me spanking her up to a lope with my lead rope. All I'm trying to do on these young horses is get them in a frame of mind to where their emotions don't get the best of them, meaning this mare's got a lot of things to think about this early in the game. And when them emotions come up, I don't want them to be so exaggerated that she just blows up and bucks me off. Majority of the time, them colts do that because they get scared. Noise and movement are the two things that tend to bother a horse the most. So anytime that noise and movement comes in and it scares those colts, oftentimes that emotion comes out so strong they really can't help themselves. I mean, being an animal that's designed to protect themselves as best they can, bucking is often avenue that they pick if they're scared, especially if they're scared about something that's on them. So I want to give her the freedom to let that emotion come up. I feel like I've done enough groundwork to where that emotion's not going to be so exaggerated that she just blows up and bucks me off. But I want to kind of give her the freedom to deal with that, to where she can get better at controlling her own emotion, where I don't have to worry about it so much. There's really nothing worse to me than sitting on a young horse and you're worried they're going to try to buck you off, and you're constantly trying to keep them from bucking you off. There's really nothing worse for a rider than to be in that position. So I'm going to let instead of swinging that stick and string, I want you to pick it up, rest it against your shoulder, get the string in your hand too. And just kind of ride here with me, just kind of walk here with me. See, just as soon as you started moving right there, she didn't take off, but some life come up in this horse. Now all of a sudden that walk that I had that was just barely creeping, now I've already got more life just from you coming along. I want you right up here. Okay, so a lot of the groundwork I was doing, I was right here next to her, okay? She's not used to a rider on her back and one right there that close. So we're just kind of playing around here. This is a spot where in the beginning, colt, man, the first time I had her in this round pen, now you don't want to squeeze in on me much more than that because I don't have a whole lot of room. But the first time I had her squeezed between me and the fence like this right here, I mean, she blew out of there. So she's making a lot of headway as far as her emotions are concerned. But this is the kind of stuff I need to get her used to. I'm going to turn her into you. You can turn your horse to me. Just come right back to me. We'll just go this way. And again, my main goal with having him in here is to just help this horse free up some, okay? Sometimes them colts are kind of sensitive like Flo is, and a person doesn't have to do a whole lot. You don't necessarily have to really even make contact. You just make a little noise and movement with that stick and string and get all the life we need, right? But on the other hand, there's some colts that aren't quite this sensitive. You spend some time getting them quiet enough you can get them saddled and get on them. You're just about having to make contact constantly just to get them horses to free up. Yep. I feel like a guy could take this horse and just bring her in here and try to physically wear her out. And what you're going to end up doing then is you're going to get her to a point where it's not that she's not sensitive, she's just so physically exhausted that you're having to do that very thing. You're having to literally make contact constantly to keep her going. Yeah. And I don't want to do that. I want to get them just quiet enough that I can get up here and have some confidence and move around, but not get them physically wore out to the point where I can't bring some life up, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to smooch. I'm going to go by you, okay? Let me get out here in front of you a little bit, and then I'm going to go lope off. You can help me just a little bit with your stick and string, okay? We'll go lope a couple circles here. Again, for the most part, I'm leaving her head alone. Now you can slow your horse up. I'm going to turn to you, and we'll ride off this way. Let me get between you and the fence. It's not the handiest thing to be steering with just your lead rope like this, but this mare was so bad about her head and about her ears that I looked at it this way. If I don't have this mare confident enough and quiet enough that I can't flip that lead rope up over her head, she's probably gonna buck me off. So I spent a lot of time on the ground helping her get to that point. Now we'll lope off a couple circles this way. That's the old right lead going left. Counter canter. I'm not really worried about that. It would be a whole lot more comfortable for me if she was in the left lead. But just the fact that she's loping is nice. there's my left lead. Okay, I'm gonna come to you. You can just sit and rest again. Okay, I'm gonna try something different now. I want you right in the middle. Take about one step forward. Take one step right there, right there. You stay right there, back up a little bit. You're a little closer over here. A little more, right there. Okay. I don't want you to move your horse at all, but you can pick that stick and string up and swing it. Okay, you're just gonna make some noise and movement with that stick and string from there. It might affect this horse a little bit while you're doing it, and I'm just gonna kind of steer this horse around you while you're doing it. You just keep doing it. There you go. When your arm gets tired, you can stop and rest for a second. If I get, Colt, if I get in there close within range of your string, try not to whack me in the face. No. I'm just saying, if I get in there close, that old string might sting just a little bit if you smack me right upside the face. Yeah, you can whack the ground with it some. There you go. See how that brings some life up in my horse? I'm gonna go ahead and just bring her down, and you just keep doing that. Yeah, just do that. You're just gonna whack the ground right out there in front of your horse. That's about the easiest way for you. That noise and movement bothers her, so you just keep doing that. I'll use it to my advantage here as it kind of brings out her emotion just a little bit. There you go. Keep doing it right there. There you go. So I'm looking for things like that as well. I'm not just using you for noise and movement to get her moving. I'm also going to use the noise and movement from you to help get her to not be so emotional. Okay? Like when you first slapped the ground and she kind of took off there. Okay? You just keep doing it and let me deal with her out here on my own. Okay? And then we can help this mare not just free up for us, but really get quieter about what you're doing with that stick and string. Can you smack the ground there with it a couple more times? Your arm getting tired? You're gonna have your arm and your shoulder ready for some baseball tomorrow. There you go, that's pretty good. Good job. That's great, bud. Okay, I'm a little bit closer. Can you do it again? Just don't whack my horse in the head if your string's long enough. I'm pretty sure this mare would really leave if that came down and right on top of her forehead. Good job. Fantastic. So anytime you guys can have help like that, there's so many different things you can do with that on these young horses that doesn't just benefit them, it makes it so much easier for you as a rider as well. So I know you don't always have access to help like that. In fact, yesterday I was out here putting the first ride on her myself. Yes, I used that horse. I didn't have another rider to throw on once I got on, so once I got on I had to do all the work myself. But there is no doubt it's so much easier, guys, when you're working young horses. You're trying to get them used to the first, I'm going to say the first 1 to 3 rides, you're trying to get that horse used to, I'm going to go ahead and step off and loosen my cinch. This cinch is pretty tight. You're trying to get your horse used to a passenger. And one of the best things you can do is to make it easier for them colts is to get some help where you can put somebody on them and they can just carry that passenger, and then whoever's on the other horse, and it doesn't even, you wouldn't even have to be on another horse, Colt. You could be doing all that in here on foot too. Okay, because I've moved this mare around a whole bunch on the ground as well, so she'd be used to that too. All it would do is it would let this mare focus on you and bring up some life off of you and not get scared of me being up here if it's the first time I was up here, because I'm having to bring up all that life and pressure from this position to get her moving. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So again, I love to take advantage of that when I have the opportunity. I just wanted you guys to kind of see what it looks like, kind of see some of the things we're trying to do with old Flo here. I got high hopes for this little horse. She's gonna make a nice horse, but she sure hasn't been an easy one to get going. So I'm tickled with what she did yesterday. Today's probably been even better. So we're gonna let her rest here for a little bit, and then we'll probably call it a day with her. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Riding Horses, and we will see you next time.